Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. I had this video finished. I just had I had to put together my collage picture for my thumbnail for the video. And there's quite a bit of stuff in this. I mean, it's just a shit show now. Trump gets racial with Candace Owens and this whole thing with Laura Loomer, that fucking gargoyle, and a whole bunch of shit to get to. Fucking Palm Beach Pete. Like, fuck, it's so weird right now. But anyways, it's late here. And I'm just going to get this video up tonight. It'll be up tomorrow at 2 p.m. And then I will cover this whole White House dinner correspondence bullshit and all the fake stuff. I know it's fake because it's fucking, you know. Those were shots. You know, Trump is... What's going on? What's going on, Melania? And this is... I thought she was on pregnancy leave. What's going on? What's happening? It looks like they're trying to relive Butler bullshit thing. We get him down on the floor finally. And these guys coming in with machine guns. Look at all these people. So fucking fake. Fuck you, you piece of fucking acting bullshit motherfuckers. I wonder if they're going to say it's Iran. Like, I know nothing about that. They're about to hold a press conference.
Here's a security situation.
So I don't really want to cover this tomorrow when I can cover it tomorrow for the next day. You know, we'll see who they blame. I'll see who they blame tonight. I'm going to render this video, and if I have to come back and add a little something. But it's all bullshit. It's all fucking... It's so fake. The other Butler bullshit thing. Look at these fucking WWE motherfuckers. You come in, why'd it take you so fucking long? It's terrifying. Oh my god, what's this gonna happen?
We're working to learn more about what's happening in the room.
Bunch of bullshit. That's what's happening. Bunch of WWE bullshit. You know, Trump hasn't done this at all because he doesn't want to get roasted. And, you know, whatever. They had some mentalists coming in, some bullshit thing. But, you know. USA, USA, USK, USK. Look at these fucking Pete Hegseth. Why don't you go take somebody out, Pete Hegseth, you tough guy.
We don't have any confirmation about what
they're saying. When I heard when they broke into the basketball game, they said it sounded like a bunch of plates crashing in the kitchen, like somebody dropped up like a tray full of plates, and that the thing was going to resume. But I'm like, well, then why would they do this? You know, want to get everybody out. And then, you know, now they're saying shots were fired. Another bullshit thing, another fucking bullshit. Trump's such a piece of shit, and it's so fucking... I mean, it's just for stupid people. Trump's safe after shots fired at correspondence dinner.
But we now do have some video of the moment
There's
where
Wolf
the president
Blitzer.
was rushed off the stage. Let us watch that now.
Look, here he is right here. Ready to watch. Boom, get his fucking fat ass off. Let's slam him on the ground. Get him down. Get down, 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 down. All right, see what else.
Melania Trump.
Okay, we have to stay here for now.
Security is telling us that everything's okay. The shooter, there was a shooter? 1 second, guys. I'm literally. What happened?
We're trying to identify it now.
Where was the shooter?
Somewhere out there.
In the lobby? In the lobby? All right, control. All right, guys. I just want you to know this is not verified. We're just listening to what's happening right now. But we have security around us, and it's Secret Service because there's a lot of members of the administration here. The Secretary of Education is seated right next to me, and her security just said, confirmed that there was a
Look, it's fucking Linda McMahon looking crazy as fuck. Just a WWE whore.
shooter in the lobby. It's not clear where. Obviously, it's a very big hotel. In the lobby of the Hilton. They said he is confirmed dead. We don't know anything more than.
So he just started firing shots in the lobby, not close to Trump. Like, why would he do that? Like, why would just to cancel the fucking dinner, which is what Trump doesn't want any part of this thing. Trump's avoided this every year. He's fucking skipped out. I was surprised he's doing. Look at Linda McMahon. Oh, what's going on? When we get that A1 working on this fucking thing?
But I can tell you, we had just sat down to dinner. The president, the first lady, Caroline Leavitt, were all on stage, including the vice president, J.D. Vance. So obviously a lot of security here. And, you know, at the beginning of the dinner, everyone's just kind of seated, having their meal. And
How they get a fucking gun into the thing and, like, whatever, you know, just bullshit. The Secret Service sucked this fucking bad.
the moment, armed Secret Service is running in with massive guns. I mean, maybe dozens.
Massive guns. They were like bazookas and shit.
A silence just went over the room as they ran in.
Yeah, I know. The silence, you guys were all fucking, you know, let's get down. Like, not all the way down. Let's just get down, like, we leave our heads above the tables. It's because a fucking bunch of plates crashed in the dining room.
When ducks got on the floor, people were underneath tables. No one knew what was going on. And for a second, the president actually was not evacuated off stage. I looked. He was sitting still right there. A Secret Service was coming in down the hallway. And so we didn't know at first, but then we heard from our own security that they heard shots fired. And now we do have Secret Service telling us, obviously I want to know this is only one Secret Service member, but a member of security is here telling us Berlin is in this very cramped.
In there, Caitlin Collins is reporting she is hearing from a security official that there were shots fired.
Shots fired.
Perhaps in the lobby by someone who is now dead. Now, we don't have any information this person got in the room or near the president or
So why the fuck would he fire his gun? Who did he fire his gun at? Like, what was he trying to do? Just, he went there to fucking, because Trump just didn't really want to do his fucking White House correspondence. Well, how does this guy benefit from this? How does this random fuck who brandished a gun, somehow smuggled a gun into the hotel, benefit from firing shots in a lobby that's not going to come close to Trump or anybody else?
official, but there does appear to have been shots fired outside. You can see officials now, right now.
From not inside the room, but nearby. And that was enough to cause so many people to immediately, they know what they heard, jump to the ground, try to protect themselves.
Well, it's just crazy. It's fucking chaos. Well, it's amazing. All right, there's a press conference. Let me take a look at this bullshit. Okay, a bunch of people said staged. Everyone's saying staged here. Lots of people are saying staged. Fake as fuck. Big in the house. Let's see how many lies are told. BS. He definitely smells. McDonald Trump. Who cares the Dodger game is on? Approval rating down. Shots up. Liar. And this is all CNN bullshit, right? There's some people talking about release the Epstein files. PSYOP. What happened to Orange Cheeto? Vote for Donnie. Of course, these could be liberals. Who knows? Shut the fuck up, liar. They must think we sheep. The press is all disappointed. Staged. Unexpected. Bring back the lobby guy. Stage. Freedom of speech. Who shots unsuppressed gun. All these things. All right, so let's go live here.
This thug that attacked our Constitution, and also showing how he acted upon.
Okay, so now he's going to just fight. Here he is. So here he comes. Look at this fake fuck. Look at this fat fake fuck. Look at him fucking come up. He put out this racist thing they're going to show from, and just like subpar. Laura Loomer and these fucking horrible people. I'm going to cover all this in this video, so this is just...
Well, thank you very much.
No, you're welcome.
That was very unexpected.
It was unexpected. It was, because like they didn't you get the script, you fucking loser.
But incredibly acted upon by Secret Service and
They were just amazing. Look at this guy. Look at this tough guy right here. No one's gonna fuck with this guy. Just don't give him a gun. He won't be able to see. He can't he can't fucking see straight. He's kind of like Mr. Magoo. So I mean, but like you can put him in front of like bullets. Like he could be a good shield. Look at this look at this genius right here. Right, this guy took that whatever her name is, Christy Gnome's job, right? This guy like Wayne Bob, fucking Billy Bob, Wayne Bob.
Enforcement and
I mean, there's some fucking inbreeding going on up here. There's a fucking cousin fucking going on. Why do we got all these cousin fuckers up there?
an event dedicated to freedom of speech that was supposed to bring together members of both parties with members of the press. And in a certain way it did, because the fact that they just unified, I saw a room that was just totally unified. It was in one way very beautiful, a very beautiful thing to see a man.
I mean, it's so unified when they're all on the ground, groveling like fucking worms.
Charged a security checkpoint armed with multiple weapons. And he was taken down by some very brave members of Secret Service.
I mean, what's the point? Can you just tell us what the fucking point of this? Is it Iran? Are you going to blame Iran for this? Are you going to blame fucking Cuba or something? Is it going to blame Greenland or Denmark so you can grab Greenland? Are you going to go after guns now, finally, after going after every other thing? You're going to finally go after the guns? Take the guns away, like just because you're a piece of shit? What's going to happen here? What's the final outcome? What's the purpose of this piece of shit, bullshit, stage ass fucking thing?
Did very quickly, and have just released, for purposes of transparency, clarity, I've ordered it to be put out. You probably have it by now. Put out on Truth and put out on many other platforms. A tape showing the violence of this thug that attacked our Constitution, and also showing how quickly Secret Service and law enforcement acted on our country's behalf. Really did a great job. One officer was shot, but saved by the fact that he was wearing obviously a very good bulletproof vest.
A good one, not made not one of those pieces of shit made in China. This was like American made, manufactured in North Korea, but still.
Shot from very close distance with a very powerful gun.
A squirt gun or a real gun?
And the vest did the job.
It did the job. It stopped it. What an amazing vest. We got the best vests. We never seen vests like this.
I just spoke to the officer and he's doing great. He's in great shape. He is has very high spirits, and we told him we love him and respect him.
We love him. We love the shit out of him. We never met him before, but hey, we love you, bro. Bro, we love you. This guy loved me long time.
And he's a very proud guy. He's very...
This guy, no fucking light on. Look at this dumb motherfucker right there. Just
proud of what he does, Secret Service agent. And we looked at all of the conditions.
Was that Mark Wayne McMullen?
That took place tonight, and I will say, it's not a particularly secure building. And
oh, you shitting me? You're gonna blame the fucking building? It's not like a Trump Tower. Like with Secret Service just let some guy in. He's fired shots off at the hotel. We violated our Constitution and everything.
I didn't want to say this, but this is why we have to have all of the attributes of what we're planning at the White House. It's actually a larger room, and it's...
Yeah, we're going to do our ballroom. It'll be totally secure. We'll never have any of these things. So is this what you did this so you could fucking talk about doing it in your bullshit ballroom?
Much more secure. It's drone-proof. It's bulletproof glass. We need the ballroom. That's why Secret Service. That's why
you need the ballroom. Exactly. Let's get on the ballroom. Let's not talk about the guy who was shot. Let's not talk about this Constitute breaking fucking motherfucker who just showed up. Let's talk about how we need this fucking ballroom.
Military are demanding it. They've wanted the ballroom for 150 years.
I mean, no one would build it, just like no one would take down Iran but Trump. Like Trump's the only one who gets anything fucking done around here.
Lots of different reasons, but today's a little bit different because today We need levels of security that probably nobody's ever seen before. But
Yeah, we just need them. Like, there's just so many crazies out there. It's like zombies and shit. God knows what's out there. Look at this guy. Like, one of them got in here. One of the zombies is right fucking. Look, there's another one.
everyone owes a tremendous debt of gratitude to the courage of law enforcement. The law enforcement and working with the D.C. police, and we just spoke with the mayor. And when we're finished, the police chief is going to take over and.
All right, so I don't have time to deal with this today. Look at this fucking piece of shit. I'm gonna go to the. Let's go to see what happened. The fucking thing they say he released on Truth Social. This is, I think, Erica J. Kirk. Is this it? And her boyfriend.
I just want to go find.
I just want to go. I just want to go home. I just want to go home. There's too many people. What's going on here? Just remind me. Let's make this about me and Charlie right now. Fucking Charlie. Charlie. Okay, so there's a bunch of videos on X. People were taking videos from underneath the table. A bunch of shit. And so this is going to be hilarious. I'll cover this in my next video. Or whatever it is. I'll release this one a little bit early and then that one earlier than I normally will. And then I'll take a day off for the fucking dust to sell this bullshit thing. I don't know if this is a video. I'll look to see if there's any more. I'm looking through Twitter. I don't have fucking Truth Social, obviously. Move. Wish we had a ballroom that was secure. This is a fucking totally unsecure building.
Where's it coming from? Where's it coming from?
Where's it coming from? Looks like coming in. Where's it coming from? Where's it coming from? Where's it coming from? Over there, go that way. You're wrong way, you fucking stooge.
Crossfire! Look out!
Bro, somebody go.
Move. This so legitimate. It's so fucking real. I mean, I'm totally wrong. It's so real.
One down.
KetchupGate 2.0. Look at this fucking military army guys. Look at this. Look at fucking Keystone Cop motherfuckers.
What the?
Oh my God. Stay down, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, stay down.
Stay down. That guy. That guy. Don't fuck with that guy. All right, so I'll release this earlier tomorrow, and then I'll release my video on Monday earlier than normal. I'll gather up all the bullshit from this tomorrow. This is all going to be a bunch of bullshit. See, I don't know if this is the video Trump's talking about. I have no way of knowing. There's just a lot of shit out there. So, it's fake as fuck. We all know it. Like, just without even knowing about it. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, fuck, it's fake. Fuck another bullshit thing from a bunch of bullshit motherfuckers. And, like, they think we're retarded. We're never fucking retarded. We're never fucking retarded. All right. It's late. Fucking goofy motherfuckers. Let's see if gonna scroll through one more thing, and then I'm gonna edit this and render it for tomorrow. Here's a clearer view. I'll go through this like I said. There's just too much shit to cover one night and tomorrow, and then we'll
I just want to go find.
I just want to go home. I just do. I want to fucking go home. I just want to go. Where's my carriage to hell? Satan, where are you? I just want to go home.
I want to go find. I just want to go find.
Fuck. All right, that's the best part. That's got to be the best part. I don't know if I have to redo my picture. I'm not going to redo my picture. I'll do this again. I'll leave this up because I want to get this again. We'll lead with this tomorrow. Anyways, all right, let's wrap this one up here. Here's the rest of the video. What I'm talking about. Like, here's the rest of the video I already made. Some great stuff in there, and then we'll deal with the rest of this tomorrow. All right. Toodles. Holy shit. Stop the presses. All right, so I was starting to render this fucking video. This is from Donald J. Trump. This is what he fucking posted, right? This is this amazing camera, state-of-the-art fucking technology here. I had to get this in. Look at this thing. Look, here he comes. Boom. The guy's a fucking, what is he, the fucking Flash? I mean, this kind of fucking state-of-the-art technology. That's, I mean, like, this, is Charlie Chaplin in this one? Like, what kind of fucking camera they have there? That's their security camera? That's their fucking security camera. They have some ritzy hotel in Washington, D.C. where they're hosting this White House correspondent, and that's their security? This is their camera? Like, what is this, like, what do they call that? You know, whatever the thing is, HDP, whatever that thing is, 1040. What is this, like 5? 1040 is high def, right? What is this, like resolution? Like, wait, let me see this again. Look at this guy. Oh, hey, look, it's that guy Stan. He works at fucking Chipotle. I know that guy. Look at him. Running by like the fucking Flash. Okay, good thing you put this up, because this is totally confirmation. I mean, when you got this kind of fucking state-of-the-art technology and silent fucking movies, where's Groucho Marx? Like, Jesus fucking Christ, look at these motherfuckers. Keystone fucking cops. Here he comes running in. He just came running in and just shot this guy in the stomach. But luckily, this motherfucker has state-of-the-art bulletproof vest in this cartoonish-like movie. Is that the fucking Roadrunner or Wile E. Coyote? I thought he was suing Acme. What's happening? What the fuck's happening here? Like, this is what you're releasing? Why would you release this thing? And there's some other. I got another one of Erica Kirk giving some weird look at the table, like she's figuring prominently on X already. They're going after her. All right, so I don't think I'll be the first and only person calling this out, like during KetchupGate, in terms of truthers. I think actually now people will finally catch on and start calling this fake right off the fucking bat. I mean, like, why would you release this if this is your thing? Like, where'd this come from? What camera is shooting it this poorly? I mean, like, this isn't the same, like, kind of grainy video they had on Tyler Robinson jumping off the roof. In a world where we have high def, everyone is carrying around a high def camera and their fucking phone. And that's what we get. Some guy, watch him come running down the thing. Well, hey, I'll just shoot this guy and run. And then they're going to shoot the guy. Like, well, what the fuck? What was that guy's motivation to do that? Tell me why that guy just shot some random cop in the hotel room. Like, just so Trump could put your BallRoom. Like, why would this guy do that? Why would he run by and shoot somebody in the stomach? And this guy, look, watch him get hit. Watch this guy, right? He's going to get shot. Watch him get shot, right? Boom. Oh, fuck, I got shot. And now he, like, doesn't, it hurts when you get shot, even with a bulletproof vest. Like, you can break ribs and, but no, this guy fucking, he's down on one knee shooting. Like, how fucking fake can you fucking be? Like, it's an insult, right? You're just like, I'm not retarded. Fucking, what do you think? I'm retarded? I'm retarded? I'm fucking retarded. Look at these motherfuckers here. All right. That's a wrap. I'll continue. I'm sure I'll have more to say about this tomorrow. Let's get into the other stuff here. Greetings, brothers and sisters. Today is Saturday, the 25th of April. April has flown by. Got a bunch of stuff to get to. So I'll start off with a couple of Pete Hegsethers. In no particular order, I got a bunch of small little videos. This is signs of the apocalypse. Yesterday, I talked about, what did I talk about yesterday? Hell no, there's no leverage. And this is a part of that, right? We're going to continue on with the no leverage, but also, like, how fucking crazy it is, right? So here's Pete Hegseth.
About the one institution that should win the Nobel Peace Prize every single year is the United States military, because we are the guarantor of the safety and security of not just of our country, but of a lot of people in this world.
Holy shit, right? You mean the Defense of War? Department of War? America is war, right? Like, America is, football is war. It's close to war as you can get in a sport, right? Football's our number one sport. And it's about land acquisition, right? And there's, you know, offense and defense. I mean, the whole thing. And then they have the military connection with football. Flyovers, military flyovers. Military is often celebrated and talked about before the game, featured during the game. You know, and America is a violent country, and there's just war. It's a war. You know, war is a big part of what America does. American glory is about war. And we have the world's largest military-industrial complex, which supplies weapons to people all over the world that are used to hurt people. Of course, what's done with Israel now. And, you know, this is an act of aggression against Iran, which is based in 100% lies. The nuclear weapon thing has nothing to do with any of it. Like what Trump says, the one reason that Trump says for this war of aggression is a nuclear weapon that was not going to happen. And if it did happen, Iran wasn't necessarily going to use it, right? But, you know, that was long ago before they obliterated, in Trump's words, you know, their nuclear program and all this stuff. And so it's a war where you make up some bullshit excuse and you go in there, and pretty much no one else is repeating the excuse as much as Trump, other than his, you know, cronies and, you know, Fox News. And so for this guy to get up there and say this, right? Like, it's so batshit crazy. Like, it's just crazy. But then during the same press conference, he says this.
We are not counting on Europe, but they need the Strait of Hormuz much more than we do, and might want to start doing less talking and having less fancy conferences in Europe and get in a boat. This is much more their fight than ours.
Okay, so you have your president out there every day saying how they have the Strait of Hormuz locked up and they've got the Iranians beaten and that the war's over and we've kicked their ass. And you don't need Europe. And then they say they do. Like, they're butthurt, but without really needing them, right? And they want them to bring their boats, so they obviously need them to do something, right? If they're saying we need more ships. And so it's like batshit crazy. Like, one minute you're saying one thing, and the next minute you're saying something completely different. So obviously, the Strait of Hormuz has got you. Like, they have leverage over you with the Strait of Hormuz. And you have no fucking solution, and you want Europe to bring ships. Now, if you're in a partnership or a coalition with somebody, you have to go to them and say, hey, we're going to start this war with Iran because of a nuclear weapon. They're going to like, well, they don't have one, you full of shit motherfuckers. Where's your evidence? And then they're like, well, no, we don't have it. They're like, please don't do that. We need oil and gas from them, fucking whatever. But they didn't do that because Israel told them what to do, and they did it, right? So that's, you know, that's that, right? So this is like how fucking crazy this is. Where, you know, smart people and pretty much everyone who's not a Trumper knows this is completely fucked. And yet they keep on doing this stuff, right? So that's Exhibit A and B, or, you know, Pete Hegseth is Exhibit A. So this is Laura fucking, I don't know what happened to my fucking face, Loomer, right? Crazy Candace gets Loomered, right? So this is, well, let's just hear what she has to say here.
And for some reason, there's a lot of people that are really afraid of this nappy-headed black bitch who just has a lot to say, but not really a lot to offer. So I'm not afraid of Candace Owens. And
okay, so calling her a nappy-headed black bitch, they said that there was a trait of racial, whatever it was. But Candace Owens came back and said she was on vacation and she didn't say anything. And she was just laughing at her, this Lord Loomer. She's getting Loomered here. But, like, this is where it gets fucking nasty, right? There's a couple things from her. But, you know, this was going around for, I don't know, a couple days. And then Trump, well, let's just listen to her for a second longer.
I'm happy to match her energy. I'm happy to wrestle in the mud with that bitch and, you know, roll around and hurl insults back and forth
with each other and, you know, rub our private parts together and what the fuck. Well, they always like it like fucking, you know.
Her, if that's what she wants to do. I'm not afraid of Candace Owens. There's really honestly.
Okay, you said that twice. So that must mean you are. Like, why would you keep on repeating that? Why would anybody be afraid of her?
nothing that this woman can do to me. There's nothing that Candace Owens can say about me that's going to harm me. Candace Owens is a liar, okay? And
she is okay. Okay. Like, I always tell the truth, and so does Trump.
and she's a deeply insecure woman who is very unloved at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, she's unlovable. Like, look at my face. See how lovable I am? Look at me. When people look at me, they're like, oh. Like, it's just like a fucking gargoyle, right? Is she a fucking gargoyle? Are you a fucking gargoyle? She has big-ass hands, too, this way. Trump is kind of,
Is a woman who is allegedly in a relationship with a gay man who is always going to feel the rejection of her family.
What do you mean allegedly in a relationship with a gay man? Now, she seems gay to me, just like a lot of these guys do. I mean, Megyn Kelly's husband, and then all these, the Republican dudes, they're more often gay or like, gay adjacent, right?
The rejection of her mother, the rejection of her family that she claims left her alone when she was 14 years old, right, to fend for herself. This is a girl whose parents gave up on her at a very young age, and she is not loved. And as I said, God hates you, Candace. God
hates you because God loves me. Look would God, you can tell by the way I got this gargoyle face, and I'm just got this most obnoxious personality. Like, she's repulsive, like, all these people suck. I mean, they're all, it's hard for me to listen to any of these people for any length of time because of their energy they exude. Like, that's a big part of what I do in the meditation. People radiate an energy, right? They give off an energy, they give off a vibration, and it's in their voice, it's in their, appearance, like their, what they reflect out into the world, not like bone structure, but, not like, superficial beauty things, but they're just, when you look at them, you're like, oh my God, what the fuck is that, right? Not because of, just because of their crazy eyes and the energy that they're exuding, right? Everything has a condition, a spiritual condition. And the people who are, in the show, for the most part, are gross. Like, this is, the Sajmark system, there's no sin. Like, sin isn't a part of it. Like, there's no, you're not doing evil or whatever. It's just grossness. Like, it's anything that you do that goes against God's will creates grossness. It's a kind of generous way to put it. And that's something that can be cleaned off if if you put the effort into it, right? But she is like one of the grossest people out there, like just in terms of her inner condition. And then it's reflected out by her nasty voice and her, all the way that she exudes stuff, what she looks. I mean, Candace Owens is really annoying. She's difficult to watch. It's just all of it. And she is really narcissistic and insecure in these things. But this gargoyle can't talk shit to anybody. Like, she's repulsive. And she's repulsive in a way that it hurts all of the Jewish people, right? Like, you're hurting your whole group of people because that's what you've made your whole life about. You hurt Israel and you hurt, I mean, it's the worst kind of person to put out there. Like, you find the most unlikable person, more unlikable than Hillary, like just nasty and like unlikable, just gross, and repulsive. I mean, repulsive is the word to describe her. And then you have her go and talk about you and your country, and you're representing, that demographic. And it's like, how is this possible? Ben Shapiro, like, you got the worst people, the most unlikable people. And then, the opposition has people that are more likable and reasonable, substantially so, like Dave Smith and these other people who are funny, whatever, Max Blumenthal and these other people. And so, it's the worst possible scenario. It's like you want people to hate you. It's like you're provoking hate and rage and just whatever.
Hates you. Your husband, and she is not loved. And as I said, God hates you, Candace. God hates you. Your husband hates you. Humanity hates you. Everybody who loved Charlie Kirk hates you. Your children are 100% going to hate you. And if what Milo is saying about your husband allegedly getting plunged in the ass by other men is true, your husband, the person that you're supposed to grow old and died with, hates you, Candace. So
you already said that twice. You brought up her husband twice.
There's one thing that you need to do, Candace. You need to just internalize how hated you are, okay? Just understand how much oxygen you're stealing and what a shame it is, how much oxygen you
like everything she's saying about Candace is about herself. Like this person is making the world a worse place. She's exuding low vibrations. Like she's a low vibration creator, just like all these other people, but she takes it to another level. Like I said, she's like a fucking gargoyle. She's like repulsive. She's like something you put on your church or your building to scare people away. Like a fucking gargoyle, right? Like, I mean, there's ghouls and there's all these, things. There's these different types of people out, vampires and spiritual, succubuses, all the fucking stuff, right? A long litany of these creatures that human exude some kind of monstrous, energy, and they're some kind of abomination, right? And she's like the worst, right? And so, like, she's just repulsive. Every time she opens her mouth, I mean, I can't believe she has an audience. Like, her audience must be like the worst fucking people in the world. Anybody who would watch, I wonder what Laura Loomer's saying, right? I wonder what Laura's take on this is. Let me go tune into Laura, right?
Are robbing from this planet. I think there needs to be like a quota on the oxygen that Candace is allowed to consume. Just understand how hated you are. I just want you to internalize every single time you do your show and you think that you are, spreading your truth. Just internalize how hated you are, Candace, and just know that you are truly irredeemable. Nothing you say or do is ever going to be able to redeem your dark soul and your dark heart. You're never going. And for some
let's get back to this part.
Reason, there's a lot of people that are really afraid of this nappy-headed black bitch.
Okay, so she made it racial, and so this is Trump's number one advisor. Like, he's not taking Tucker's calls anymore, but she's got a direct line to him. So, like, this is Trump's connection to social media, right? And you can see it because then Trump posted this. Holy shit, it's real. Tim Pool posted this. Candace Owens' stock, which was never very high, has fallen. This is Trump. This is, I think, his original quote when he was slamming all these people. Alex Jones, and he was slamming Tucker Carlson and the rest of them, Candace Owens. Candace Owens' stock was never very high, has fallen a long way. Her attack on the First Lady of France is despicable. I believe in this case, without verification, she's an extremely low IQ individual. And then he posted this picture. This is really fucking racist. Right? It's really fucking racist, right? This is like what they call a trope. Vile person of the year. Now, there's lots of these ones on Trump, right, where people make a fake Time magazine cover. And a president of the United States should not post something like this. Like, this crosses multiple lines. Candace Owens, lies, right? Like, this is their, I mean, they can't even, they're so lack any creative. Uses rich white men, right? Lies, uses rich white men. Zero fact check ratio on all credible fact checking sites. Like, those are the same sites that fact check the shit out of Trump, right? Like, what do you mean credible fact checking sites? The ones that like, what are you talking about? Like, so, I mean, clearly you guys are all liars, and so is she. But you guys are at least as bad, but really much worse. Protects sex offenders. Like, holy shit. You mean like Trump did with Jeffrey Epstein? Like, there's no bigger protector of sex offenders than Trump. There's this, well, I'll show you that. There's a meme coming out with that stuff. We'll get to that in a moment. Now, it's just something that, like, crosses so many fucking lines. And, like, how crazy it is. Like, how butthurt Trump is that he's doing this. And it must be because of Laura Loomer talking to him. Because Trump doesn't watch these people. So Laura Loomer is going to Trump saying, these guys are all saying shit, talking shit about you. And Trump, without, like, maybe I should check this thing out before I get into another shit fight with these four people with a big audience, right? Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and Megyn Kelly, before I lose even more support, which means it doesn't matter if he loses all his support. I mean, he's going to have some dumb fucks, but, it's like, I mean, this is really bad, right? It's lost pretty much everything. He has, I mean, zero credibility and, within a fractured community. And he's got the worst people like Erica Kirk and those people. and fucking everybody on his team. The next piece of shit that has to run for president, he's going to destroy MAGA. I mean, the whole thing is a fucking disaster. But this is just like not cool, like this doing this, right? So then there's this. Larry isn't even trying to hide it anymore. They often call her Larry Loomer because they think she's a dude, which, I don't know how that makes things worse. It could. I mean, she's an abomination, a gargoyle either way. If World War III is necessary for Israel to survive, so be it. Israel first is America first. Like, she just flat out fucking said this, right? Let's make sure we check her thing. I want to make sure she actually said this. Okay, so to find this post, I had to scroll through her Gargoyles Are Us, and she posts a shit ton of shit on Twitter where, there's not... she doesn't have a big following, obviously. Now, this post doesn't exist on her page. At least I couldn't find it. And, I'll get into that in a moment. But there is some other stuff here. So she doesn't have very many views. She has, for someone who's a national figure, 79 comments. That's nothing, right? So that means very few views. They say 14,000 views, but that's got to be inflated. And 234 hearts. So, that could be done with bots. I mean, they're not a lot of, she doesn't have a lot of bot money. Marjorie Trader Green refused to defend Miss Erica J. Kirk. Again, Charlie Kirk hated Laura Loomer, according to all these people. And they didn't like each other. So, this whole thing, right? But whatever. Marjorie Taylor Greene refuses to defend Miss Erica J. Kirk, but she's now defending a demonic witch, real Candace Owens. Now she says Trump hates women. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Let's go back. No, he doesn't. He has a female chief of staff, and most of his cabinet positions are filled by women. So this is her post here. And then it's because she's, Marjorie Taylor Greene says, let's see if we... It says here, President Trump hates women he can't control, who don't worship him, women who actually worship God and are more intelligent than he, women like Candace Owens. The cruel post about Candace Owens looks like something Laura Loomer would conjure up as she gives Trump talking points, policy decisions, and political advice, which is literally destroying him and the Republican Party, all these things. So she goes on from there. And so then she says, looks like President Trump has been watching Loomer Unleashed. And then she posts this again. So she says, I explained how Candace Owens uses rich white men on my show last week via her alleged arranged marriage with rich British man she knew for 14 days. These other things. Vile person of the year. More like the century. And so, she's taking credit for this. And she posted a video of herself saying, look, I said all these things before Trump posted this Time Magazine image. And this is bad. This is fucking, this is just unacceptable and crazy. Shit you just can't do. Like I said, it crosses multiple lines. And they're not just racially, but all of it. Just how nasty it is, how, crazy the thing's gotten. But is anybody comfortable with Laura Loomer being Trump's one of his main advisors? Anybody comfortable with that? I mean, over the years, this is part of it, but he was listening to other people like Charlie Kirk and Tucker Carlson, all who suck, right? Everybody he listened to sucked. I mean, there's just like the Democrats, any of these things, but Laura Loomer takes it to a whole different level. And so I'm looking to see if she posted that stuff about, but it's she's just nasty and hateable, and she doesn't get any views. Again, 154 comments. They say 107,000 views and 256 reshares. While Candy is getting sodomized by karma in the form of Laura Loomer, President Trump has decided to jump in. I love this for her. And they're all posting this, right? And so, this is bad. There's a swastika for some reason. Loomer's so hard. Again with the fucking thing here. She's posted this multiple times. Laura Loomer reposting it. So she probably made that or whatever for her team, whatever it might be. All right, so it seems like that tweet isn't real. I mean, I can't imagine she would say that out loud. Seems like someone just made that tweet. It's totally what she believes, right? The World War III is, okay if that's what it takes for Israel to survive, right? That tweet. And she's slamming the Pope. Like, I scroll through her fucking filth here. I got to get out of Loomer land. But she is just, I mean, they all suck, and she's breaking new ground, right? But here, I've got your back, Miss Erica J. Kirk. I didn't get along with your husband all the time because I didn't like his gatekeeping and his lack of judgment when it came to platforming people who are trying to mock his death and smear you with lies. And I warned him about these people, but the way you have been treated is terrible, and I'm happily have your back and defend you from the female Jim Jones. That doesn't sound like having somebody's back. Like, you didn't get along with her husband. Her husband didn't like you. Nobody likes you, right? So this is Trump's person. This is who Trump's listening to. I mean, just in terms of the show, but and it says here, I got your back. And I mean, that's who you have. You got Laura Loomer. Like Tucker Carlson, the rest of those people are all realizing. Well, let's get into the stuff here with Carrie Prejean. So, this is the implosion of what was the coalition that allegedly brought Trump to office for a second term. The TPUSK and all these people, these heavy hitters, all the, Joe Rogans and the Tucker Carlsons and all these people. Candace Owens and the rest of them who had, big audiences and whatever. This big rah-rah moment, Trump is going to make America great again 2.0, and, the TPUSK was a big part of it, right? And a lot of this is, every religion, they have to go deeper and deeper into imaginary land and make up stories, pull stories from other traditions, and make up supernatural stories, like superhero-like powers for the religious figure, right? Because they're pandering to dumb fucks. Like, you gotta make shit up to impress dumb fucks, right? Stressing miracles as, some, like, miracles are actually, in the Sajmark system, like I've talked about, there's a difference between spirituality and religion. In religion, the idea is that God is separate from you, right? That, the religion itself is the gateway for you to get to God. So the religion becomes a gatekeeper. Whereas spirituality helps you connect with the divinity within you. When Jesus was alive, he was teaching spirituality, right? He was teaching, and he didn't really have a good method. I mean, it was limited. But the idea was the kingdom of heaven is within, right? So when he was alive, and you could, when you know somebody who's spiritual, they're an example to you, and you can be inspired to be more like them, like be more like Jesus, like all the people who knew him, and they start doing something spiritual in terms of their, connecting to the divinity within them. But then once it becomes a religion, it's a war of propaganda and my savior is stronger than your savior kind of thing, right? So it goes into crazy land, and now we have just a religious war going on. And so Carrie Prejean Bowler is a Catholic. I saw her on Tucker Carlson. She was talking about how she was kicked out of Trump's spiritual advisory team by whatever that crazy lady is name. I don't know why I can't think of her name, right? That's weird. But, I've been covering her every day. You know who I'm talking about. Now, it'll come back to me, you guys know. But she got into it with Andrew Tate, or Andrew Colvett. So let's get this straight. Baylor tells TPUSK we can invite community members, non-students, to our event, but then reverses their decision after some progressive students complained, forcing us to sell 450 ticket holders, tell 4,500 ticket holders not to come. And so she responds to this, Andrew, TPUSK is dead. Charlie was TPUSK. He was the brain, the passion, the life, and the only reason millions paid attention. The second he was murdered, TPUSK was killed as well. It would never survive without him, which is why I believe he was killed. Whoever killed Charlie knew they were killing TPUSK as well. The influence in the movement would be stopped. This was their motive. Now we're watching staffers play dress up like Charlie's in the movement they didn't build. Dress up like Charlie in a movement they didn't build. Taking over Charlie Kirk's show is like Rush Limbaugh's PR guy taking over his microphone and pretending nothing changed. It'd be like backstage staffer grabbing a mic and pretending to replace Michael Jackson. Nobody would buy it. And nobody buys this either. In fact, they are starting to loathe it. People aren't stupid. They see right through it. That girl from Candace Owens claims that girl that quit in Georgia said to her that that this was all about nobody liked Erica. And they said nobody liked Erica and they were not selling enough tickets, and Erica showed up anyway, and they made up a bullshit story. And so, they realizing that Erica's walking around, I covered this in my last video. And, like walking around like, she's the biggest victim in the world, right? You can inherit the desk Charlie sat in, the sponsors that donated, and the microphone, but you cannot inherit Charlie's presence, passion, brains, or connection. Charlie had his audience. And so this was, this is what I'm talking about here in her garter jewelry. She says that the G that everyone thinks is Freemasonic is that she's got a giant, gaudy, diamond-filled ring. She wears this big, clunky jewelry. And she has this ring that, it's supposed to be for her daughter named Gigi or whatever she calls her. But it's weird to have, she had every one of her kids, I think Charlie, maybe just her kids, rings with their initials. Like, it's like getting your kid's name tattooed, right? But even like kind of weirder. Like more people do that. Like she's just a weird person, right?
The health of a nation will never rise above the health of its churches.
These looks that she gives, right? These weird stares that she does, right? Like uncomfortable stares that she does to people.
And the strength of a church will never rise above the faithfulness of its shepherds.
Again, with the weird.
What is spoken by you as a pastor in your pulpits on Sundays will shape what happens in our country on Monday morning. But here's the thing. Not every pastor feels that way.
No way.
Not every pastor feels the same way that you guys do in this room.
How do you know how they feel, right?
Some aren't there yet.
Some aren't there yet.
And to those pastors, I respectfully ask, what will it take? What will it take? Because my husband was murdered for preaching the gospel.
No, that's not why. Like, what are you talking about? He was murdered because he backstabbed Israel, right?
What will it take? And you're afraid of taking a stance on a topic for fear of maybe losing attendance? Or what people will think about you? If you, the pastor of the church, define and explain what's going on in the world to your flock through a biblical lens and explain what a true biblical worldview is, they will flock to you.
They will.
They will flock to you. Because if you don't, your congregation will find someone who else that will explain it to them.
Okay, so just what she's talking about here is politicizing the pulpit, right? Now, the churches, the various religions have become so political anyway, but this is, when the fourth master of the Sajmark system, Daji, started to be political, he joined with a pro-Hindu paramilitary fascist group that had their own gay little army with a bunch of guys with staffs, like 10,000 guys wearing these orange hats that went out and they were anti-Muslim. Like there's Muslims in India. There's Muslims doing Sajmark meditation, right? there's people from every caste and religion. You're supposed to leave your religion behind, your culture behind, and then start being a spiritual person. Forget about your upbringing, your indoctrination, your prejudice, and then you're 100% spiritual. But Sahaj Marg was, the meditation I do, Sahaj Marg, the gratefulness meditation, it's not supposed to be political at all. Like, that's why I don't have any political sides. I don't give a shit about it, because, politics and religion are horrible. Like, politics does not mix with God. Politics is anti-God. And, the meditation does not do well in cities that are capital cities. The capital of a city, whatever it might be, in whatever state, state capitals. And, of course, Washington, D.C., because it just doesn't do well, because there's a different kind of energy, right? So, you don't take political positions, right? Because you don't want to alienate people. You don't take sides or, whatever might join the UN. I mean, Kamesh Patel is all about the UN, all this stuff. You don't do anything like that. You stay away from all that kind of stuff, and you're there for everyone. You don't, everyone can come. Like, you're not right wing, left wing, these things. And that's the way it's supposed to be. And if it drives people away, which he's saying because, people want politics, they're not there for the right reason anyway. So they're worthless people. You don't want people who want you to make political statements and these things, right? But they're a political organization that uses religion as a bullshit reason to say all these things, right? To push all these things. But what we have here is a religious war. So let me show you this other thing. The other gargoyle they have out there is this guy, Rabbi Shmuley, right? And they had this thing here.
They're going to bring it.
So where this is this whole restoring the Temple on the Mount, where there is some Muslim, whatever it is, there's a Muslim, I don't know what it is. I forget the whole thing, but there's a Muslim, worshiping place, holy site there. And they want to get rid of that and restore the Temple on the Mount. And it's a belief that once they do that, Israel will become predominant, some kind of, just twisted religious bullshit that has no meaning, this like something you follow because God wants you to destroy the world, right? Like some kind of bullshit thing that you think you're going to get something when you're not. And Carrie Prejean was talking about this with Tucker Carlson, who's been pushing this idea. And this is Rabbi Shmuley's daughter. I don't know if he has more than one, but one of them, maybe this one, sells kosher dildos, right? Like, they're weird fucking people. Like, you can't make something, a dildo. Like, she sells sex toys that are supposed to be kosher. She has a sex toy shop.
We are the new Israel. That's what the church teaches. We are the fulfillment of the old Israel. The old was completely done. There is the new covenant now. Those who are in Christ, that is the new people of God.
So she's doing a reaction video to this. None of these people are from God. Like, the Jewish religion is demonic because the person at the center of it is a demon, right? The person they call God, is jealous and petty, all these things, right? And so that's the foundation of these three religions. And so all these religions are fucked because they don't really understand God. Like, a spiritual practice is, all the religions around the world, all the spiritual practices, all the pagan stuff, all the druidic stuff, all the, tribal things, all the tribal worship, all the stuff. The idea is that, the primitive type of mentality that was there, the underdeveloped, stuff that was like, whatever tribal type situation that's been around, the way the people were, not having a structured civilization, nature worship, like worshiping nature, all these things that are there. Native American practices, Druidic practices, pagan practices, right? All these, worshiping the mother goddess, this kind of thing. All the stuff that's in Hinduism, all the various, deities, all the things that are there. It's eventually to get the idea that there's an abstract essence of God. That is an energy. That isn't, God isn't in physical form. God doesn't have a body. He doesn't have a physical body. He doesn't have an ego. Doesn't have a personality. And then there's more after that, right? Like, you start off with a very primitive idea of God, and then you move to a less primitive idea, right? And so in that, here, let's get to this here.
We are the new Israel. The land means nothing. They believe that they will rebuild that third temple. They're going to bring in the animal sacrifices again.
Carrie Prejean Bowler literally sends a shiver down my spine. She freaks me out so much that I have.
Like, what doesn't freak you out is the murder of Palestinian babies. That doesn't freak you out, right? What your country's doing to the Palestinian people, that's cool.
I had to show you this video because I want you to understand that we are in the middle of some really weird spiritual war where Jews are not allowed to exist at all.
Okay, so that's not, anything like that. Nobody's saying that. Nobody has said that. Like, it's your actions that have pissed everybody off, right? I mean, there's people out there. There's fringe people, fringe groups of people, but it's the actions they're reacting to more than anything else, right?
Can't even have our spiritual right as God's chosen people. Guys, there's someone else who replaced us. We are no longer connected to God. There's a new...
So you're not God's chosen people. Like, there's no godly energy there, right? Because, divinity is everywhere and you need a soul to survive, which is a divine essence. But, the Israel is so not godly. It just isn't. And the religion is just horrible because of the way they present God. What is God? What is God's characteristics, right? These are the questions that should be asked. What is God, what does God do? How does God work? What is God's, does he have a personality? Is he a person? How do you describe God? And when you tell people he's a king, well, that's not accurate because kings are fucking horrible, right? Royalty is a bad thing. It's this idea of some bloodline that gives you the right to rule over and enslave other people. Kings have done horrible things. Kings are never good. It's not a good model of governance, right, or any of those things. It's not a model of anything. And so the way they present God is jealous and punishing and vindictive and just horrible, murdering and all the animal sacrifices, telling Abraham to kill his only son and all this stuff, kill these people, the obsession with fucking foreskins. It's bullshit. It's not real. It's horrible, right? But here's the key part when she says this.
But I had to show you this video because I want you to understand that we are in the middle of some really weird spiritual war where Jews are not allowed to exist at all. We can't even have our spiritual right as God's chosen people.
Our spiritual right as God's chosen people. God doesn't have a chosen people. Like, what makes you chosen people? Is it your genetics? Because there's different races, different genetic makeups. There's black Jews and African Jews in Africa, right? There's, the Ashkenazi Jews. There's the various, all the Jews with the weird haircuts, right? There's all these different types of Jews. What is it? People who accept Judaism? That makes you God's chosen people? So is that a choice? Is it your genetics? What is it? What makes you God's chosen people? It's that you're saying you're God's chosen people, right? Like I could say I'm the chosen one. Like anybody could say that. I'm the chosen one. That's not true. Like there's no, God doesn't choose. God chooses everybody. It's we who choose. I've been saying that so much in my recent videos. People choose. And people are rejecting God, right? And so God doesn't choose you. You don't have some fucking birthright, right? That's what you said right here.
So much that I had to show you this video because I want you to understand that we are in the middle of some really weird spiritual war where Jews are not allowed to exist at all. We can't even have our spiritual right as God's chosen people.
It's our spiritual right. You have a spiritual privilege, a right. You're not chosen. Like there isn't that. And so all the bullshit that you do because you think that is fucking blasphemous, right? Like it's like these religions, and Christianity has, like this Carrie Prejean says, we're now God's chosen people because of Jesus. No, none of you guys are. And then you do shit saying, hey, we're doing this. We're killing these other people. We're conquering these other people because we're God's chosen people. We're more important. And it's a fucking dangerous thing. It's blasphemous. You serve God. You don't tell God what to do. Hey, God, we're your chosen people, so we're going to go do this thing over here, right? And, these people in the Bible, God would tell them things God would never say to do, right? Oh, God just told me to do this. God just told me let's go kill the Philistines, God just God just told me we got to go get the Canaanites. God doesn't say shit like that, right? And so, there's none of that. Like, God's in everything and everybody. I mean, if things have to happen, wars and things like this, the egos will believe things that aren't true to create a war, to do destructive work. But it isn't true. It is whatever they believe, whatever they tell themselves about being chosen people or God, we're following God's lead. So this is where we're at. We're at a fucking really weird time where all these fucking crazy motherfuckers who believe crazy shit, delusional shit, are, not just believing this stuff anymore. They're putting it into action. They're actionable stuff that they're doing. This is the World War III, the actionable stuff that they're doing in Iran. This war between these three shitty religions, right? This is what it is. Three blasphemous religions that really don't understand the essence of God and are not connected to God in any other way than God says, all right, I want, not in a, God doesn't have a mind, but in the sense of divinity having to cleanse the parasitic, demonic shit that's going on, that there needs to be massive destruction because people are fucked and going in the wrong direction because people aren't choosing God. If people are choosing God, the world wouldn't be like this at all. If you were asking God what I can and cannot do all the time, all this stuff would change, right? So this is where we're at. It's a fucked up thing. Okay, so I was, when I do anything in a video like this where I start talking about spirituality, I have different ways of, voiceover is the best way, but I have different ways of grabbing the audio and then putting them in a voiceover format or grabbing the whole video, which I'm going to do this morning and put it in the Journey series. But I'm going to say something that I've never said before, and I don't know if anybody's ever said this before. I'm sure somebody's come up with this idea, but probably didn't get the right answer, right? What is God's love language? And God's love language is love, right? It's not service. It's not quality time. What are the other things? Not gifts. What are the other things that are there? Quality time, gifts, affirmation. That's Trump's love language is he wants to be, praised. It isn't physical touch because, God doesn't have a body. So I think that's all of them. But, and that's not, I think there's some merit to the love language thing. But, the bigger thing is, how do people express love, right? I'm going to get into my dogs, so I'll put a couple of pictures of dogs here. How do people express love? And then how do people receive love, right? So, one of the problems with ethnic relationships, people from different countries, I saw this in Sagemark. We had a lot of marriages where people would meet somebody at a gathering. There's these spiritual gatherings which were just saturated with love. Like your heart would open up and you would be on this, you'd have this unbelievable, you would be a different type of person. And people would meet somebody from a different country and there's all this love energy there at the ashram and, they think they could make it work. And there was immediate issues because of, the way people communicate from different countries, right? Master Charlie arranged some marriages for non-Indian people. And he said, after a while, I'm not doing that anymore because, the arranged marriage, you have to go into it believing that God is picking your partner. And no matter how bad they suck or what's going to happen, the inevitable conflicts, the inevitable disagreements in marriage, then, when you're like, I didn't even pick this person, and you have doubt in the process of arranged marriages. Arranged marriages is a good thing if it's done the right way, just like anything else, but it doesn't suit Americans and Europeans and other people from different cultures, right? But, going back to the important part here is how do you express love to other people? Because sometimes you're expressing love and other people don't feel it that way, right? Or you think you're expressing love, but it's not something the other person wants. And so people feel rejected. They feel like they're opening their heart to somebody and the other person is rejecting their whatever they're giving, whatever it might be. But oftentimes, it's very you want love on your terms. Like you want to express love the way you want to express it, these things. And so this idea of love languages has merit because you have to understand what the other person wants and how does the other person receive love, right? Like love in its purest form is energetic. But lots of people can't, do the Sajmarg meditation and receive this Pranhuiti energy. They can receive it, but they just don't feel it. And sometimes it makes them uncomfortable. Like people are uncomfortable with God's love. It makes them feel unsettled. So it has the reverse effect. So God himself, right, is, people reject God and it's God's truest form, the pure essence of love. They can't take it. Like it's, makes them feel bad. Like they're, it's like, I had heard this thing and it's not true, but it's a good metaphor that people who have emphysema, pure air makes them cough. Their lungs start calling for smoke, right? Which isn't true, but that was something that I thought was interesting. I heard that, and it ended up not being true, but that's like what I'm talking about here. When you start calling for poison, your body gets accustomed to eating poison, fast foods and these things, and rejects healthy foods. You start eating healthy foods, and your body reacts because your body has been warped in a way to take in toxic shit, poisonous shit, right? And so, you can't process love in its truest form. And that's, sad state of affairs. When people reject God's love or can't feel it at all because they're too gross and they're too, they're not subtle enough. Remember, I gave this quote about how God is subtle. It's one of the, defining quotes in the Sajmarg tradition. Here's the quote here. It's from Babaji's book, Reality at Dawn. God is simple and can be achieved by equally simple means. But people aren't simple. People are complex. People are complicated, right? And so they can't feel God because God's simple. You have to become simple to feel God. And so this idea, like, for example, God wants us to sacrifice animals. What? Animals have value to you. And so if you're a farmer and you are, you have a flock of sheep, whatever it is, it means money, whatever it might be, trade, whatever whatever you have going on, right? You have, you're sacrificing some of your income, some of your food, depending on how desperate you are. Like, let's say you just have enough livestock to feed your family, and then you sacrifice one, to God, and you're like, oh, I'm sacrificing something. But it's fucked up. God doesn't want that shit. Why would God want you to kill something in his name? Like, what the fuck, right? Would you want that? Would you want somebody to say, hey, I'm going to kill this fucking hamster for you. I'm going to kill this fucking cat for you or puppy, right? Would you want somebody to hey, I want to show how much I love you. I'm going to kill an animal for you, right? So let's say you had this is like, that Stalker movie where the woman boils a rabbit, whatever it's called. So all of that shit, right? Paula Kane White, that's the name of the woman I was talking about earlier, the pastor, like that crazy shit, talking in tongues and doing all that kind of shit, right? So, why would God want any of that stuff? Like, why would God want you to do horrible shit in his name? Like, why would God want you to destroy other people with divinity in them? They also are children of God. Why would God want that stuff, right? Why would God say, yeah, I really feel your love. When you killed that sheep over there, I really felt your love. I felt, it really made me feel loved, right? So, what does God want you to do, right? Like, you have your way of expressing worship. You have what you think is valuable. You have your way of giving love, or what you think is giving love. But what does God want? Like, how does God receive that? Like, how does God want you to approach God, right? Does God want you to worship? Does God want you to grovel? Would you want people to grovel? You want people to crawl around in the fucking ground and grovel to you? Like, you're a fucked up person if you want that. Some people want that. But do you want that, right? Do you want people to fucking grovel? Do you want people to give you shitty gifts that you don't want, that you have to fucking, oh, thank you so much, right? Like the fucking birthdays where you have to react and like people are giving you gifts you don't fucking want, celebratory type of situation, right? We used to go out to dinner. I mean, my kids don't live with me anymore, but we'd go out to dinner. And I would not, on my birthday, and I was like, boy, I'm not happy. Like one time we went out, my son didn't even know. It it was my birthday, right? So he's telling this story, which my kids would used to often tell. It was like it's kind of a, story about how I didn't cut the lettuce properly. Like I cut a salad and the lettuce was not fully cut, right? Which, I mean, I don't have a complaint department, but like, how many meals have you made me, right? Like, how many salads have you made me, right? So, like, you're welcome, motherfucker. Grateful, this guy thing. My son starts telling this story, and I'm like, it's not like it's some painful thing to hear, but I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, this is not how I want to spend my birthday, right? My kids did not like to talk about things my wife and I talk about. Like, so they didn't like to hear things. They had different positions on the vaccine and other things. They're not truthers. They're actually truther rebellers. These kids who rebel against your belief system. And they would talk about shit I didn't want to talk about. Somehow they always end up talking about like serial killers or some shit like that or something. The subject that I would, a conversation I wouldn't want to have, right? Sheeple kind of stuff. And, they weren't celebrating my birth. They weren't like, oh, I can't really wait to express my love to you on your birthday, because they didn't feel that way, which is fine, but then why pretend this is something? Like, why pretend that this is about me or my birthday, because you don't care about either thing, right? So, it becomes something where you're just going through the fucking motions. There's no real love expressed, right? Like, for example, the first treatment center I worked, I was just learning about the Sajmark philosophy. I just had started to meditate. And these were kids who were, they were termed sexually reactive. They were little sex offenders between the ages of 10 and 14. And we ended up having like a real blissful, like 6 months, 8 months, where I kind of asserted my philosophies and started, applying some of the Sajmark teachings to the workplace. And I came up with a bunch of kind of ideas to balance out. We were restraining the kids a lot, which sucked. Kids were punished all the time. And we changed the whole energy of, like, we had 2 sides of the week where we would bring the kids out to places and have a more normal existence. I'm like, we should have them experience the kind of lives that we lived. We would have barbecues, and we would, do things that these kids, when they had them, they were like, people were getting, raped or stabbed. I mean, they came from like really shitty environments, right? Like where criminal environments and fucking abusive situations, and like, have like a normal American life to some extent, right? And some of the things that we did was we'd run the kids. Like I came up with these, we played Frisbee football, ultimate Frisbee, because, the kids weren't allowed to have physical touch because they're all sexual deviants, and they, so they had to not be in physical contact. So there are a lot of sports that you play, football, basketball, where physical contact is a, part of it. So ultimate Frisbee was a great sport because everyone could catch and throw a Frisbee, even the kids who were all fucking drugged up and whatever it was. And we'd play like 2 or 3 hours, and we'd just run the kids. Like, you have to run after the Frisbee. The Frisbee floats, like it catches on the air. And it was a great sport, like really enjoyable to play. And the kids would be so exhausted afterwards that they wouldn't act out. And, so I had all these other ideas. And when I was, leaving the place, I was going to travel I was moving across country to New Mexico, and then eventually going to go to, I was living in Massachusetts, eventually going to India and starting my life, all these things. So, the thing started to end. And my coworkers found out it was my birthday. Like, and I didn't tell anybody, of course I didn't, like, there was just, my birthday is always a day I just kind of get through, right? I don't really want anything, like, whatever. And so they found out it was my birthday, and one of the Frisbees we used so much it cracked in half. Like 2 kids were tugging on it, and we played so much with it that, it had worn out. And they all each signed their names on the Frisbee, and they also got me a shirt or something, which, it was all right. It wasn't like something I would have picked for myself, but it was the sentiment, right? They were like really, they wanted to show that there's like love involved, like they loved and, whatever. There was some, there was affection there. And like I felt it, like it was emotionally moving. My parents always fucked up my birthday when I was a kid. And, I don't want to go through all the stories, but, when there's no love expressed, right? There's a story from the Sajmark tradition. Babaji, the second master of the system, he created the organization. So there was nothing really formal organization. There was no, there was just a bunch of people grassroots going over the first guy's house. And he didn't accept donations, and, he didn't really want people giving him gifts and things. Very simple person, didn't need anything. And some guy gave him grapes. And there was some poor guy showed up with grapes, which was something that's, it's a European thing, and they grow grapes there now, but like their apples and some of the things they grow there aren't, it's not naturally grown there, and so they're like maybe a little bit more expensive, northern India, and the guy was just so pleased, like it was his expression of love. And Babaji ate like all the grapes; he didn't share them or anything, and he wasn't somebody who, he wasn't a big eater, like he had trouble, he had an ulcer, but the guy had expressed so much love and whatever it might be, that he he felt compelled to make the guy feel good, like to he could, it wasn't the grapes, it was the the loving energy that the person put behind it, right? Another example of this first master of systemology who lived in the north of India, grew up in the north of India, and they drink tea in the north and coffee in the south. They grow coffee beans in the south of India, and they grow tea and tea leaves in the northern part of India. And one day Lalaji woke up and he really wanted coffee, and he grew up in a sort of wealthy family, and then they were in destitute poverty, and then he sort of became middle class at some point. But he woke up craving coffee, and one of the people that did the meditation showed up at his house, and he'd come over and made coffee. Like he figured out what the guy wanted and did that for him, right? Like just out of sheer intuition. And you see these examples where people know what somebody wants and gives it to them. But very few people are able to do that in relationships or anything else, right? In personal relationships where people have, you can figure out what people want and need and give it to them. You can find out what people's love language is. You can find out what, people want you to do. You can, be that for the person, or give that gift, or, exude that, whatever it is, give them what they want, right? People will tell you what they want. You can ask them. And, sometimes they don't know, what they really want, but they, you can give them what they want, right? Like you have your way of expressing, love and affection and these types of things to people, positive feelings. But how do other people receive it? Like, you got to figure out how the other person receives it. And it's much easier to do for a person who has, physical body and has needs and has whatever it is, right? Than it is to figure out for God. God is the abstract essence of love. And so people make bullshit things up. That they say that they're worshiping God or giving God what God wants. But is this what God wants, right? When you do it with some sincerity, the intentions at least are good. Even if it's not something God would want, and God doesn't want anything, right? So God is love. It's the only thing that you could do is reflect God's love back to God. And what God would want is gratitude. More than anything else, it's gratitude. And if you're a parent or you're a person who does for other people, gratitude is the most important thing. Like if you give of yourself, you sacrifice for other people. People saying thank you, that's not, people saying I'm grateful. Yeah, that's great. But actually the feeling of gratitude is reflected back. That's why I say, and be grateful. Gratitude is, the ultimate expression. I mean, in terms of loving gratitude, some sense of adoration and just appreciation and all these things. Like this is, and it's and if the feeling of it, like the intentions behind something. A heart bursting with love and gratitude, right? A heart with this, just filled, with God's loving gratitude and just and that the expression of God, like you're channeling God's energy, and that's the true spiritual experience, is a heart full of love and devotion. Like you're just filled with this love and devotion and gratitude and just all this stuff. It's just positive energy. Then service and these other things go along with it. The, service and some of these other ways of expressing it, right? And so, if people have to find their way to understand that. Like, what does God want you? What does God want from you? And it's not what you want. Like, there's that famous, I don't know if it's famous, but I saw Simpsons where Homer gives Marge a birthday present, and it's a bowling ball, and he put his own name on it. It's a bowling ball for him that he had made for himself. He gave himself a bowling ball and pretended it was a present for Marge, right? Which is, the epitome of what I'm talking about. people wanting to do things and saying, "Oh, I'm just expressing this is my worship of God. This is my devotion for God," and then groveling to God after you've gone out and done all these things that go against your soul's path, go against what God wants you to do. So getting into my dogs here, I went out to the yard a little while ago, and we went to the pasture to have a walk, and it was it just had rained this morning, and there's a rabbit outside, and my dog saw the rabbit. Sometimes they or smelled it or whatever. Sometimes they don't see the rabbit and I see it, and And Tulsi gave chase for a little bit, but my dog's just given up on chasing rabbits. Like, they just can't catch them. And rabbits not only are fast, but they run in an idiosyncratic way. And the funny thing is, and I have to get this on video, my dogs will chase a rabbit, and I'll just sit there, and we have this path made of, what's called Dusty 12 here. It's a, form of crushed gravel. And, it's on top of some plastic, so we have this thing where I have to constantly cut the path, and, it's flat, and it's whatever. And I'll wait on the path, and the dogs will run in one direction, and the rabbit almost always doubles back and crosses right in front of me or behind me. It'll just jet out. Sometimes it's even walking, and they're over there chasing it. And they love the smell of rabbit. Like, they more love the smell. Dogs feel smell throughout their whole bodies, and so they really enjoy smelling things. It's like it just clicks into all these pleasure centers and energy, and they get so enthusiastic smelling things, and so they like the smell of the rabbit probably more than chasing the rabbit, which a rabbit they'll never catch. But Papillons are very athletic dogs. My wife and I went, we were I think at the beach, and there was this guy, and he said, "Are those Papillons?" We were walking our dogs, and he was sitting there, sitting in a chair, and we go, "Yeah." He goes, his wife raised, those show dogs that do competition, like they do those agility competition. They run obstacle courses, those things. And he said he had this breed of dog, and he said every year his wife would lose to the Papillons, just by a fraction of a second. Just those dogs were good athletic little dogs. Dog breed I hadn't heard of, but they're a little bit bigger than a Papillon, and they're just not as nimble, right? The Papillons are amazing athletes. They're really quick and nimble, but they just can't catch a rabbit. They just they come from foxes, and of course they're not depending on the rabbit for their meal. And I don't know what they could do. The rabbit's almost their size, probably weighs about as much as they do. And Papillons don't have some crushing pit bull like jaw. They have small teeth and a weak jaw. So I don't even know. Rabbit would kick the shit out of I don't even know what would happen if they caught him. But they don't catch him. And they've learned just but they don't chase it all over the place, because in the natural world, animals get separation, just like in football, and you want to create distance and separation, and you as an offensive player, you want to be free in space and get away from the defender, right? Get away from the predator that's hunting you. And so and then as a predator, you want closing speed. You want to decrease the distance between you, right? A coyote can outrun a rabbit, and it's going to close the distance. It's chasing the rabbit, and the rabbit's losing ground. So the rabbit has to run idiosyncratically. It has to make movements and turn and do these things, like you see with gazelles. The gazelle isn't as fast as a cheetah, but the cheetah, can't turn as well as the gazelle, right? The gazelle is not running in a straight line because it would lose that race, but it will run in a idiosyncratic way, and movements and cutbacks and things like you see a running back do in football. And anyways, the Papillons are a great breed of dogs, and I really enjoy them. They're, they're cute. They're good athletes. They're like little puppies instead of being I don't like little dogs, little yapping dogs, but, I had bad experience with them as a kid and various times in my life. Just don't like the little yapping dogs. But my wife had a Papillon, and, she was a great dog, Farley, which I, covered. Farley was 4 pounds. I mean, really small. Our two dogs now, Buddy and Tulsi, are bigger. And so, Tulsi's 13 pounds. Buddy's 7 or 8. Buddy's got longer legs. Buddy's really fast. They're both really fast dogs. But, they're good dogs, and they're devotional. And, someone sent me a video. I've seen this video maybe 4 or 5 times. There's a dog named Nimble, which is a cross between Papillons and border collies, you know, a Papillon and a border collie. And we had a border collie named Lucy, who was also crazy fast, crazy athletic. She's not a pure border collie. We got her at a, you know, I'm going to post these 3 pictures. There's going to be a picture of me with the Papillons, and then Lucy, and then there'll be a picture of me when I was a kid with my dog Fluffy when I was 7. You know, Fluffy was a dog my hippie sister brought home without my parents' knowledge. And so there was a caption. You can't read my dad's handwriting. It's bad. But the dog was, you know, I was holding the dog, and it was licking my face. I was like 6 or 7, whatever it was. And I said, I think the dog loves me. I think, or he loves me or something like that. She loves me. It was this female dog. And, you know, my parents were kind of stuck because, I mean, I immediately loved the puppy, and, you know, it was just great, but I couldn't take care of it. I wasn't capable, right? I wasn't responsible. And at some point, my parents lied to me and said the dog was deaf and couldn't be trained, and they got rid of it. But, you know, there was a golden retriever next door named Goldie. And we had a fence of like a metal fence, and Goldie could just get her mouth through the fence. And I used to pet Goldie, and she'd lick my hand. And, like, you know, I pretty much every day I'd go over the fence and pet Goldie. They just left the dog out there by itself. It didn't really, you know, it just like neglected. I mean, at least it had a big backyard to run around in, but it didn't really, you know, dogs are social animals. They're pack animals, right? And they, you know, the pack is, they have their way of expressing affection, which is licking you. You know, the picture of me getting licked in the face by this dog, which I didn't care about when I was 7, but I'm not as happy about it when Tulsi licks me on the face. Buddy only does it occasionally because he's scared. But Tulsi really likes to lick people's faces, and they also eat chicken poop, right? So, you know, I appreciate the affection, but, you know, germs and chicken poop. But getting back to Lucy, you know, border collies like are just a cut above. Like, I would say that about Papillons, just the breed itself. Like, you know, we have chicken breeds, and, you know, genetics makes a difference. And, you know, Papillons were, you know, French royalty would have these dogs, and they are just, you know, very evolved. Like, they're just, to me, a cut above a lot of the other breeds. And border collies, they're not even a dog anymore. They're so focused on their owner. And we had cows, and I tried to learn to get Lucy to herd the dogs. And I kind of got okay with it. Like, I got all right with it. I also trained her how to catch a Frisbee because she needed to be worked. She was a working dog. It wasn't, you know, she just didn't have the same kind of, she just looks at you in a way like with total devotion and total, like, please tell me what to do. Like, you know, like I was her master. Like, in terms of the Sajmarg meditation, you know, God and the divine master within, and the human being who, you know, is the conduit for the inner master, right? The master of the system. And I realized that she was a much better disciple. She was much more devotional than I would ever be, right? She was a much better disciple, you know, somebody who's than I would ever be to God, right? Like, you know, she was just a great example. My ex and I had written a kid's book, and then I was working on a sort of like a spiritual curriculum to go with the various letters. It was an ABC book. And there's a lot of great letters to teach kids about devotion and being a disciple and, you know, all these other D words. And there's no better example than that of the dog, right? Dog is God spelled backwards. And dogs are such, you know, wonderful examples of how to approach God. Like the way that, you know, a dog approaches its master with love and affection, devotion, and enthusiasm, right? It just exudes gratitude. And so when you look at all these dumb fuck religions and all this bullshit where people, they don't do anything with real love and gratitude, you know, they go to church, you go do your whatever it is, you know, but it's, you're viewed as a piece of shit, so what can you do for God? I mean, the way that Christian religion is framed and the way that God is presented in the Old Testament, you know, how do you please a God who's a narcissistic prick, right? You know, Trump wants you to grovel before him. He wants his ass kicked. Like, Trump is, you know, the same as the God in the Old Testament. The way that people have to approach God and kiss his ass and tell him how great he is, and, you know, all in an artificial way. It doesn't come from a place of love and gratitude and affection. I mean, for the most part, for some people it did. But, you know, he can't receive love and he can't give love back. Trump is clearly unlovable, like Laura Loomer was saying all these things about Candace Owens, but all people are unlovable because they act in a way that's totally depraved, and that you have to, to be loved, you have to have love inside of you, and everybody has love, as their core energy, your soul energy. But for most people, they're so gross and it's so buried, they don't have access to that love, so they can't give love. They don't know how to give love. They don't know what love is. They don't understand they don't feel it. Like, you have to feel love. Like, it's a feeling, and more than, it's not a mental thing. It's not something you know or you know mentally. It's something you feel in your heart. And if you can't feel love in your heart, which I would say is, a large percentage of the population, then you really can't have any relationship with God. Your relationship with the love in your heart is your relationship with God. That's the transmission that's given in the Sajmarg meditation. And so these religions just become about narcissism and demonic, going against God's will, your own demonic ego going rogue on your soul and your soul's path, and then making it up like, hey, I'm doing this for God, or this is, us being, godly people, and this is us being devotional. And none of those things are true. Like that, none of those things are really what's happening, right? It's filled with manipulation and shame and, just heaviness. It's just heavy, gross stuff, and, like just lies and deception that they're trying to make you go along with, right? Deceiving you and forcing you to pretend something's there when it's not, right? Pretending that that this is something real when it isn't, right? This is not anything to do with God. None of these people are doing what Jesus wants them to do. None of these people are doing what God wants them to do. None of these people are doing what their soul wants them to do. And they just frame it in all these things. We're the chosen people. Like, well, who says? Oh, we say. This fucking made-up bullshit God that we created said it. Okay. So it's bullshit, right? There is no chosen people. Well, then everything that you believe is a fucking lie. Everything that you say is a fucking, is blasphemy. And it goes against, the basic, what does God want? Like this, I love God. I want to do for God. Like, you feel so much gratitude and love that you want to serve God. You want to, you want to become something that God, pride is a bad word, but that God would be proud of you, or, like proud without pride, right? Would be, oh yes, well done, job well done, pat you on the back, right? Walk in there and, not groveling, not, oh, I'm a worthless piece of shit sinner and this kind of stuff. But you're becoming what God wanted you to become. You are working to achieve what God wants you to achieve. You're serving God's purpose for you. You're doing what God, God created you to do, right? Not in some egotistical way, not in some, self-glorifying way, but in just a heart full of love, devotion, and gratitude. And you're, serving God at the highest level. And that's not what these fucking, all these people talk about, right? It's the opposite. So it's demonism wrapped in, religious clothing, right? All right, so let's move on to the next thing here. Okay, so I ate lunch and been outside and did some work and walked with my dogs a few times. Pretty nice day out there. And I realized that I kind of stepped on, or I didn't expand on the thing with my dog Lucy enough. I remember looking at Lucy, and she was eager for instruction, and we didn't have any more livestock. We had gotten rid of our goats and our cows, and our farm was sort of collapsing. And she had forgotten how to play frisbee because I did that in the beginning. I didn't have anything. Border collies always looking at you like, put me in, coach, right? They want you to instruct them. They want to work. And I didn't have any work for her. And I felt kind of, that wasn't a very good master to her, right? That, she deserved more. I mean, she, like I said, was half border collie. She was a rescue dog. I was, this is back when, the first, before Pockets of the Future was Shruti counseling. I learned about what a Shruti was during my reading about the preceptor books, but I never thought something like that would happen to me. And I had this experience where there's this ringing in my ears, and felt like I was being downloaded something. Then all these ideas were there that weren't there before. The first stage was Shruti counseling, and then became Pockets of the Future. That was stage 2. the Shruti counseling was helpful for me to, I wrote a book, a counseling workbook, and I just wasn't into doing counseling, and I don't think that was really what I was meant to do. I much prefer to what I'm doing here now. But the homestead and all those things came out of that, and I, learned to use the internet. I learned to build websites. I mean, all these other things. Front page. I mean, what was available to me at the time. This is 2003, and I went to these, these events where they would have booths, wellness events where there'd be booths, and I set up a booth, and people just didn't want to talk to me because I'm not very approachable. But they had dog rescues there, and one of my kids said there's a really neat dog over there, and I went over and we all kind of fell in love with Lucy, and someone else would have taken her if it wasn't for us. But she wasn't probably going to be in a situation where she was farming. Like that was, she wasn't going to be killed. Someone was going to take her because she was about a year old. Was very timid when we got her, and border collies are, they're not pets. There are a lot of dogs that people get like huskies, and various types of Australian shepherds, working dogs that are bred to do a certain job and service, and they're not meant to be stuck in some house or apartment. And Lucy got, free run of our place, and she, would stay in the yard, and she sometimes would hurt our baby chicks, our chickens. That was all that's left of our livestock, and she would just not herd them, but just sort of sit and pretend like she was herding them. But I looked at her and I was like, I wish I could do more for her. I wish I could help her. I just didn't have anything, and I was so drained from my marriage and all the failure of the farm, the homestead, and all this stuff, and I just didn't have anything left for her. And but I recognized that I wished I was as good as a disciple, or as a, in terms of God, my master, the divine master, that I was as good a servant as Lucy was, right? Like I saw, wow, I'll never be as good as her as a disciple in terms of, devotion. And she doesn't have the intellectual power, and she can't do certain levels of service, but the devotion and her whole attitude, and just, hanging on my every word, waiting for me to, give her some work, give her something to do. She just stares at you going, what can I help? I want to work, put me in, let me do. And, so, it's something to emulate, something to inspire you in some way. Dogs in general have that element, right? And so, just that, and of course it's bred into them, and it's a different kind of circumstance, but, to aspire to approach God in that sort of same way, with loving devotion and gratitude with a heart of service. All right, so I just thought I would add that here. Let's get into the other stuff. Okay, so Trump fell asleep in this healthcare meeting here. He dozed off, and there's lots of Sleepy Joe memes, but this is my favorite meme.
Codify the principles that we negotiated a landmark agreement with the government of the United Kingdom in which they agreed to increase significantly the amount that they spend on branded pharmaceuticals for the first time in 26 years. That work continues with other countries. And third, we will continue our work.
This is the weird guy with the ring on his index finger.
With our partners in Congress to codify the principles that underpin.
Look at RFK Jr. Look at how miserable that fucking guy is. That addict motherfucker. He was the guy he went before, Rabbi Shmuley, who was like the worst person to go in front of, and he just taint-licked Israel and Zionists for, 2.5 hours. Just brutal. So this crazy motherfucker, right?
It was all a lie. This time there's not even been a court hearing. But backed by Bloomberg and the Democrats, Ben Collins, the former MSNBC censorship czar, has just announced that they're moving in May 1st. And it's all through a Texas state judge that ran the show trial a few years ago against me, with HBO, fully produced show trial, that she's just saying it's yours even though it's still on appeal, and legally you can't do that. Now, notice the receiver that she appointed won't pay the electric bill, won't pay any of the bills, even though he gets the money. There's plenty of money to pay the bills. So they're already suffocating us. And you see the headline on X and everywhere else that, yep, it's theirs. So if there's any justice, they're going to get in big trouble for this. We're going to file a whole bunch of actions.
They're going to get big trouble. They're getting in big trouble.
against it. It's just absolutely outrageous that in the year 2026 this type of crap goes on.
It's still outrageous.
But President Trump, through Todd Blanche, the Democrat Party lawyer, deputy head of the AG then, now the DOJ head, killed Ed Martin's investigation into their operations, their fake auctions, the DOJ funding the fake lawsuits against me. They have all the documents. They killed that 6 months ago. I didn't blame Trump for that. But I do now blame Trump for coming out and openly endorsing their lawsuits and saying I deserve it. It was the very same law firms that sued him, Paul Weiss, that are running all of this. That's who represents the onion turds. So Trump has now openly joined forces with the Democrat Party to shut down InfoWars, and it's just beyond disgusting.
All right, so there are three things that happened. Alex Jones got a $1 billion judgment against him, a ridiculous amount of money for, not killing anybody and just saying words that were hurtful. Like it's a defamation. Like him saying these words was worth $1 billion to the Sandy Hook families, right? Like ridiculous amount of money. It's silly. Like you can't, how are words worse than actions and killing people and all the rest of the things? So, it seemed, and Alex Jones is a shill piece of shit. So then Trump got a defamation ruling of 100 million something plus from that one woman, the woman that he said she was too ugly for him to rape. Like fucking, and so that was, again, how do words and things that you say on the internet equate to $100 million, right? Like just over $100 million, $1 billion. And then Rudy Giuliani got a settlement for what he said about these election workers for $140 million. And it's just ridiculous, right? Like you can't, it's just, cruel and unusual punishment. It doesn't make any sense. Like it's not going against some corporation with billions of dollars. Rudy Giuliani was hawking fucking meds. I'm not going to show you that. It's kind of hilarious. But he was eating vitamins on his podcast that he gets 4,000 people. And he was trying to shill for some supplement company just to make some money so he can pay off. And Trump stiffed Rudy Giuliani, right? And Trump as president, all the bullshit he's done, he should have wiped out all those judgments. Like he just, certainly the one against Alex Jones, who's been shilling for Trump forever. But Trump actually did the opposite. That's what Alex Jones is saying here. And now is openly endorsing this shitty fucking, judgment, right? Like, not even $1 million would make sense. Like, if you could make a case that Alex Jones slandered people, it would be way less, right? And so Trump openly endorsing this, Trump should have been pushing back against all this stuff and fighting for the so-called truth community. And not that Alex Jones is a truther, but, But, of course, Trump didn't do that because he's handled and he's owned and he's not any of those things, right? What is Trump's legal liability for sharing that Candace Owens thing? And how is Trump going to suffer for that racist fucking post that he did? That's just wrong and bad and totally unpresidential, right?
Absolutely blows me away. But I hope Grok can get it right. I hope everybody reading at the top of X with tens of thousands of posts can understand that when you go watch Ben Collins, the podcast he did today, he goes, I own the studios. We're in control now. Well, they have a hearing about it on the 30th, and we'll be challenging that.
Okay, Alex, your show sucks, and you won't be missed. Right? You'll be missed a little bit because you're unintentionally hilarious. And he'll just be on X doing this same fucking bullshit. Just he won't have a staff to make up his fucking crazy shit. I don't know. I don't know what this is about. Like, I don't know how staged this is or what the reasoning behind this. The caption is, how much of an alcoholic do you have to be to do this? It looks pretty fake, like bad acting. Just pour a wine in there. They want to leave the restaurant. Just the fact that they're filming this. All right, so either way, like, holy shit, right? I mean, it looks pretty fake, but still, like, just, it's not something you want out there as a, like, hey, that looks like a good idea. Like, so the real Donald Trump, I don't know if he posted this. Trump says Iran won't execute 8 women after he demanded their release. And, you know, I posted what I felt about this, and I'm sure many of you agreed with what I said or thought it yourself before I said it. And somebody else here, hooray, Trump saved all AI-generated people. Iranian embassy, SA, I don't know what SA stands for. I mean, this is not real pictures. Like, how dumb do you have to believe that to buy into this bullshit, right? Like, it's just fucking horrible. Like, it's the worst. Okay, so Jared Kushner and Steve Woodcock are business guys, right? And Jared Kushner's got a big deal from Saudi Arabia. So I think that what Trump's sending over there are people to, you know, get some kind of a deal on their oil, right? Trump cancels Witkoff Kushner's visit to Pakistan for Iran talks as tensions escalate. These aren't political negotiators. Jared Kushner's like the Antichrist. I mean, he bought Park Avenue 666 or whatever it was, you know, one of those Fifth Avenue 666 or something. There was a show called Park Avenue 666, which was about, it had something to do with the devil. And, you know, again, these are business guys who have grifted with Trump before. And so it's like, you know, why would Joe Biden send his son over, Hunter over to negotiate? Well, because he wanted to be paid off, right? So, you know, this could be any kind of negotiation tactic or whatever it is. Or maybe the Iranians just aren't playing ball. We'll see what happens at the end of this thing. But, you know, there is now going to be a deal. Like, this thing's going to go to the fucking, you know, it's going to run its course. And it's out of Trump's hands. Like, he's completely helpless. And, like, I think he kind of knows it, and kind of maybe he's bummed, but, you know, like, he's a piece of shit and whatever. And this is, you know, it's beyond the controllers. It's beyond any of these things. Beyond Israel, certainly beyond, you know, it's something that's, there's a divine will behind this, and there's no putting it back in the bag. And this is, you know, going to have, in terms of, you know, like I said, this is divine will, so it's, you know, something that's a good thing. But, you know, it's going to be undesirable for most of us. All right, so there's that. Okay, so this one's called United States of Israel. Got Trump wearing a Star of David on the flag, Star of David on the White House. You know, Statue of Liberty holding up whatever, menorah, whatever that thing's called.
States of Israel, that's your resume. Killing children every day.
And so, talks about Trump being a pedophile in here somewhere.
Netanyahu's pet Trump is a pedophile. Don't you forget.
Don't forget he's a pedophile. All right, so, you know, Netanyahu's got Trump by the neck there with the stuff. It talks about how he's, you know, they make a big deal about him, you know, having these, being blackmailed and that shit and all that stuff. You know, they come up with good tunes and all these other things. The Trump stuff. And, you know, this has a lot of toilet involved. This golden toilet. They really like to focus on this golden toilet and all this Israel stuff here.
Killing children every day.
You know. So here he is chained and, you know, all this stuff. And I don't know what we're doing over there in terms of propaganda, but they're certainly kicking the shit out of Trump and Netanyahu over here. And then there's another one here. So this one is...
Baby, did you check the label? Check it. Your expired bro burnt out done. The masters found a new pawn.
He's BB has cancer is the name of this one. So he's slipping on banana peels. Right, so, you know, you get the idea. Here he is in his death parade in the garbage and all that shit. But they're claiming, oh, this is the one they have, here, let me see if this is the, right here. They have the pyramid and all these other things surrounding. Poor little BB with cancer on the flat earth. All right, so that's Lego update. So I don't know if somebody sent me this. I think it just popped up on Facebook. I don't even go on Facebook because I don't even know. Facebook is like a ghost town. There's no longer, they don't show you like any of your friends' posts, and your friends aren't posted anymore because nobody posts. And they just run advertisements or sponsored links and things like this. But this is disturbing. Well, you know, I mean, just in terms of Hollywood bullshit. All female cast has been said for an upcoming production of Glenn Ross, directed by Patrick Marbar at the Old Vic in London. So Glenn Ross, it's a famous movie, you know, closing is for, coffee is for closers, right? Like all that shit. It's a sales, you know, a bunch of hard guys. It's Alec Baldwin's best role. And they have a lot of great monologues. And there's a lot of macho shit in there, right? I mean, a lot of, you know, it's not something that you can bring women in and have them do. It's like the opposite. Like it's just, you know, and the guys are, none of the characters are good people. They're just all, you know, they're people who are selling shit that's, you know, condos and timeshares that are, you know, I mean, that are scam and, you know, all that shit. So it's a very male-oriented movie or TV play, I guess, first, and then a movie. And, you know, it's like I said, they always try to stick women into these things. They just try to wreck everything. It's just horrible. Like, it's just, you know, I mean, it'll be, I guess this is just going to be a play, but it might become a movie. I don't know. We'll see. But holy shit, is there anything they won't touch, right? Like, they're not putting men in traditional female parts. They're not sticking, you know, some guy in there crying about how hard men have it. That's the other part, right? And how you know, women are screwed, all this feminist bullshit. Like, men aren't going into Lifetime movies and shit that's meant for women and ranting about their bullshit, right? Because it's not, you know. But it's just like they want to wreck every little thing that men have. Whether it be sports or action films, and now Glenn Ross. Okay, so Palm Beach Pete has got 31,000 likes on this. He had some sort of eye surgery. And the video played differently yesterday. I don't know if Instagle's glitching out. I opened it on a different browser, and I wasn't signed into Instagle, and you couldn't even see this post. You could see the other ones, though. It's weird. This is all they have here.
Now I'm really ready to go out for the surgery, and I could really... Now I'm really ready to go out for the surgery, and I could really...
And he says, I could really see my followers. Which is fucking weird. He's just so fucking weird. Somebody writes here, Jeffrey, are you okay? And Palm Beach Pete, thank you for all the kind words. Don't let them take any DNA samples while you're undergoing the procedure. My boy Jeff's last wish is to be in GTA 6 at the strip club. Love you, Palm Beach Pete. Get well soon. I don't know why people would love Palm Beach Pete, but... And then here, there's a video. It doesn't even play. I don't know what the fucking problem is. Anyways, fucking Palm Beach Pete. Am I right? All right, so there's some kind of glitch out going on Instagram. You know, everyone should think long and hard about this. That this guy, Palm Beach Pete, is basically really unlikable, very weird, old, right? And he's got hundreds of thousands of followers, right? And spread across social media. He's merching up, and he has a fan base. And his one redeeming quality, the one thing that makes him pop, is he looks like Jeffrey Epstein. right? Now, there's some interest from people who think he is Jeffrey Epstein, right? People think he's just, this is a scam, and that is whatever it is. And it's kind of funny, for a little bit. But people who are like wishing him well and they're fans of his, rooting on, meeting him, these girls going up to him. And, what separates him from the average old weird guy, is that he looks like Jeffrey Epstein, like one of the most notorious, horrible fucking people out there, like a Hitler, right? And maybe a traitor to America, spying for Mossad. And then the pedophilia shit, which is, off the charts. He's like the most famous pedophile. And this guy's built a little following, not, pretty good sized following. The other thing is, like, Jeffrey Epstein has fans. Like, not just pedos, but there's people like, what's that guy's name? Nick Fuentes, who said, he's a badass and he was his hero. There's people that look up to Jeffrey Epstein. Lots of people, young people who are, moral, have no moral compass. And so, like, that's something that everyone should think long and hard about, right? When you're thinking about God saving humanity or something happened to save humanity, think about that, right? That Jeffrey Epstein has fans. Like, he's a hero to some people. And not just some, small percentage of people. It's probably, a good 5% or something, whatever it is. Thinks he's a player and a badass. Nick Fuentes praised him and said, well, the girls were, not that young. They were pretty much barely legal, that kind of thing. All right, so there's that. Let me check the comments and see if I'm going to do a voiceover here, and then otherwise I'll wrap this thing up. Okay, so I was just about to wrap this thing up, and some fake bullshit thing. I interrupted my basketball game saying Trump was, I'm going to say this again and to put it in the beginning of the video. There's some kind of thing at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which I'll cover tomorrow. Because what the fuck? It might be interesting. Not the event, just the whole, the whole shit show of it all. But anyways, let me wrap this one up here. Only spirituality will save this world. It's paramount decimal point for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.